My parents always saw me as their retirement plan, a human ATM disguised as their only child. They never worked for what they had, always expected it, always took it. On my 29th birthday, they finally took too much, draining my life savings, but they didn't realize they had walked straight into the cage I'd spent years building. The chill of the air conditioning in the bank lobby always made my skin prickle, a nervous habit. Today, it felt like a premonition. I sat across from Mr. Henderson, his silver hair neatly combed, his tie a muted blue against a crisp white shirt. He cleared his throat, his gaze regretful, then slid a printed statement across the polished mahogany desk. The numbers on the page blurred, then snapped into focus, stark and unforgiving. The account balance, once a towering 7 figures, now displayed a pathetic 0. $2.6 million. Gone. My breath hitched. This can't be right. My voice, usually steady, came out a reedy whisper. Mr. Henderson's expression tightened. Ms. Rose, I understand this is distressing. We tried to contact you repeatedly over the last 48 hours. He gestured to the call log on his screen. My phone, a silent brick in my purse, had been on airplane mode since Friday evening, a birthday treat to myself, away from the constant demands. Who authorized this? I asked, my fingers tracing the blank space where my future used to be. A cold dread seeped into my bones, familiar and unwelcome. He pushed a form towards me, an official-looking document with a signature line. Your parents, Ella. They presented this signed power of attorney, dated last week. It appeared legitimate. We verified their identities, and the document itself seemed impeccable. My vision tunneled. My parents. Of course. It was always them. They had always dipped into my accounts, small amounts at first, then larger, always with a sob story, always with a promise to repay that never materialized. But $2.6 million? This wasn't dipping. This was a hostile takeover of my entire existence. I never signed a power of attorney, I stated, the words flat, devoid of emotion. My mind, usually a chaotic whirlwind, felt eerily calm, a strange clarity descending. This wasn't a shock, not really. It was an inevitability, the culmination of a lifetime of their parasitic behavior. Mr. Henderson leaned forward, his brow furrowed. Are you absolutely certain, Ms. Rose? The signature matches other documents we have on file for you. We conducted all due diligence. A dry, bitter laugh escaped me. My signature is on that document because they forged it. They've been doing it for years. Small things. Bank slips. School forms. Anything to make their lives easier, regardless of the consequences for me. A memory surfaced. My mother, a bottle of cheap nail polish remover clutched in her hand, carefully erasing a bad grade on my report card, then mimicking my teacher's signature. The same meticulous care she must have applied to this. He sat back, his face a mask of concern. Forged, you say? This is a serious accusation, Ella. If proven, it's a felony. It's not an accusation, Mr. Henderson. It's a fact. And it's not the first time they've tried to pull something like this. Just the biggest. I pushed the statement back across the desk. I need every single document related to this withdrawal. The power of attorney, transaction records, security camera footage of them in the bank, everything. I want it all. And I want to speak to the bank's legal department, immediately. His gaze sharpened. Of course. We will cooperate fully. This is a matter of utmost gravity. He stood, his movement stiff. I'll gather the documents. Please wait here. I didn't wait. I walked out of the bank, the automatic doors hissing shut behind me, the cool air outside a welcome shock against my burning skin. The city thrummed around me, oblivious. Horns blared, people laughed. Life continued its relentless march. But my life, the one I had meticulously built, brick by painstakingly saved brick, had just been obliterated. Or so they thought. The anger, a slow-burning ember, began to flare. Not at Mr. Henderson, not at the bank. At them. My parents. The architects of my perpetual misery. They had always been this way. My childhood was a blur of their grand schemes, their fleeting enthusiasms, their endless demands. My father, a charming opportunist, could talk anyone into anything. My mother, his perfect accomplice, played the victim, always needing, always fragile. I was their golden goose, the one who excelled, who worked, who saved while they spent. I remembered the countless nights I worked extra shifts at the coffee shop, the tutoring gigs, the graphic design freelancing I squeezed in between university classes. Every penny I earned, I funneled into that account, dreaming of a future where I wasn't constantly looking over my shoulder, where I could finally breathe free. That money wasn't just numbers. It was my freedom, my security, my escape from them. I drove home, a familiar knot tightening in my stomach. The house, their house, our house, felt like a cage. Their car, a gleaming new luxury sedan I knew they couldn't afford, sat in the driveway. A fresh wave of nausea washed over me. Of course. That's where the money went. I pushed open the front door. The scent of expensive perfume and my father's stale cigar smoke hung heavy in the air. My mother sat on the plush velvet sofa, a glass of something amber in her hand, her face flushed. My father, a predatory gleam in his eyes, stood by the mantelpiece, polishing a grotesque porcelain figurine. He turned, a wide, insincere smile plastered across his face. "Ella, darling. Happy birthday," he boomed, his voice too loud, too jovial. My mother giggled, a high-pitched, brittle sound. "We were just toasting your health, sweetie. And your future." I stood in the doorway, my hands clenched into fists, the bank statement crumpled in my pocket. Their audacity, their blatant disregard was breathtaking. "My future?" I echoed, my voice dangerously soft. "You mean the future you just stole?" My father's smile faltered, replaced by a flicker of irritation. "What are you talking about, dear? We just celebrated your special day." "Don't play dumb, Dad," I said, stepping further into the room. My gaze fixed on my mother, who suddenly looked very uncomfortable. "The bank account. My $2.6 million. It's gone. And Mr. Henderson told me you both withdrew it using a forged power of attorney." My mother gasped, clutching her chest dramatically. "Forged? Ella, how could you say such a thing? We simply borrowed it. For an investment opportunity. A magnificent one, darling. You'll be so proud." "Borrowed?" I barked a short, humorless laugh. "You think you can just borrow my entire life savings? Without my knowledge? Without my consent? You think I'm that stupid?" My father, ever the smooth operator, stepped forward, his expression shifting to one of wounded indignation. "Ella, you wound us deeply. We are your parents. We only ever want what's best for you. This investment, it's for all of us. A family venture." "A family venture?" I repeated, the words tasting like ash. "You mean another one of your schemes that will inevitably crash and burn, leaving me to pick up the pieces, just like always?" My voice rose, a tremor running through it. "The restaurant that failed? The real estate scam? The online boutique that lasted 3 months? Every single time, you promised me the world, and every single time, I was left with nothing but debt and a mountain of your lies." My mother dabbed at her eyes with a silk handkerchief. "We've had some bad luck, yes. But this time, darling, it's different. We're finally going to be rich. All of us." "No," I said, my voice cutting through her theatrical sobs. "You're going to be in jail." My father's eyes narrowed. "Don't be ridiculous, Ella. We're family. You wouldn't do that to your own parents." His tone held a thinly veiled threat, a familiar tactic. He always believed he could control me, manipulate me, because I was his daughter. "Oh, but I would," I countered, a cold resolve settling over me. "Because you're not just my parents anymore. You're criminals. You stole from me. You committed fraud. And I'm going to make sure you pay for it." My mother wailed, a shrill, piercing sound. "How could you be so cruel? After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done for me?" I scoffed, unable to keep the bitterness from my voice. "You mean raising me to be your personal piggy bank? Training me to believe that my worth was tied to how much I could provide for you? The only thing you ever did for me was teach me to be self-sufficient, because I knew, from a very young age, that I could never rely on either of you for anything." My father's face purpled. "That's enough, young lady. You will show your mother and me some respect. We are still your parents." "Respect?" I laughed, a harsh, grating sound that echoed in the opulent living room. "You lost my respect years ago. You forfeited it the moment you taught me that my love for you was a weapon you could wield to extract money from me. You forfeited it every time you lied, every time you manipulated, every time you stole." "This is just a misunderstanding, Ella," my father tried, his voice regaining some of its persuasive charm. "We can talk this through. We can repay you. With interest. Think of the returns on this investment." "No," I said, shaking my head slowly. "There's no misunderstanding. There's just theft. And there's no repayment, because the money you invested is already gone, isn't it? Blown on some pipe dream, or worse, on personal luxuries." My eyes flicked to the new car in the driveway, then to the expensive watch gleaming on my father's wrist. My mother's tears intensified. "We just wanted to give you a better life, Ella. We wanted to ensure your future." "My future was already insured," I said, my voice thick with a strange mixture of grief and triumph. Insured by my hard work, my sacrifices, my discipline, all of which you systematically undermined. And now, you've ensured a different future for yourselves. My father straightened, his jaw tight. And what exactly do you mean by that, Ella? I finally pulled the crumpled bank statement from my pocket, smoothing it out with deliberate slowness. I mean, Dad, that this isn't the first time you've tried to pull this stunt. His eyes widened fractionally. My mother stopped crying, a sudden stillness falling over her. Remember when I turned 18? I continued, my voice gaining strength, each word a hammer blow. When I finally got access to the trust fund my grandmother left me. You tried to get your hands on that too, didn't you? A measly $50,000, but to you, it was a fortune. You forged my signature then too. Tried to get me to sign over control. But Grandma Rose, bless her cynical heart, knew exactly what you were. She made sure that fund was guarded like Fort Knox, with multiple layers of legal protection. You failed then, but you taught me a valuable lesson. My father swallowed hard, his bravado draining from him. What lesson? That you would always try, I said, a slow, grim smile spreading across my face. That no matter how much I loved you, no matter how much I provided, it would never be enough. You would always try to take more. So, I learned to protect myself. I watched their faces, the dawning horror in their eyes, and a profound sense of satisfaction, cold and sharp, pierced through the lingering pain. 2 years ago, I continued, I went to a lawyer. A very good lawyer. I told him everything. Every manipulation, every loan that was never repaid, every instance of you forging my name on documents. I told him about the trust fund attempt, and how it made me realize I could never truly trust you with my finances. He helped me set up a system. A very specific, very clever system. My mother whimpered. What system, darling? The bank account you just drained, I explained, relishing the fear in their eyes. It was a decoy, a bait account. It held a substantial sum. Yes, enough to look tempting, enough to make you believe you'd hit the jackpot. But it wasn't my real savings account. My father's mouth opened and closed, no sound coming out. My real money, the money I worked my entire life for, is in an offshore trust, I revealed, my voice a low, steady hum. It's completely untraceable, completely inaccessible to anyone but me, through a series of encrypted protocols and multi-factor authentications that would make even the most sophisticated hacker weep. The decoy account, however, was designed to be vulnerable. It had a power of attorney clause that looked legitimate, but was in fact a legal tripwire. The moment that document was presented and acted upon, it triggered an immediate, automated alert to my lawyer, to the bank's fraud department, and to the police. The silence in the room was deafening, broken only by my mother's ragged breathing. The power of attorney you used? I held up the crumpled statement. It was a trap, a perfectly laid trap. And you, in your greed, walked right into it. I took a step closer, my eyes locking onto my father's. You see, Dad, Grandma Rose taught me well. She taught me that some people, no matter how much you love them, will always be wolves in sheep's clothing. And she taught me how to build a cage strong enough to hold them. My father finally found his voice, a strangled croak. You set us up? You set yourselves up, I corrected, a cold smile touching my lips. I merely provided the opportunity for you to reveal your true colors, one final, undeniable time. And you did not disappoint. My mother collapsed onto the sofa, sobbing uncontrollably now, her earlier theatrics replaced by genuine terror. Ella, please. Don't do this. We're your parents. Parents don't steal their child's future, I retorted, my voice devoid of warmth. Parents protect their children. You exploited me. You betrayed me. You saw me as a means to an end. Well, this is the end. My phone, which I had quietly switched off airplane mode, vibrated in my hand. I glanced at the screen. A text from my lawyer, David. They've been flagged. Police are en route. It's too late, I told them, my gaze sweeping over their horrified faces. The police are on their way. You're going to be arrested for grand theft, fraud, and forgery. And unlike all the times before, there's no talking your way out of this. There's no me bailing you out. There's no second chance. My father lunged forward, his eyes wild. You ungrateful bitch. After everything we gave you. You gave me nothing but lessons in self-preservation, I said, stepping back, anticipating his move. And now you'll learn a final lesson, consequences. A siren wailed in the distance, growing steadily louder. My mother shrieked, a raw, primal sound of despair. My father froze, his face a mask of disbelief and rage. He had never truly believed I would turn against them. He had always seen me as their compliant little girl, easily manipulated. The siren stopped directly outside. A car door slammed. Then another. Footsteps crunched on the gravel driveway. "This is what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness," I told them, my voice firm, unwavering. "This is what happens when you choose greed over family. This is what happens when you finally push too far." The doorbell rang, a polite, insistent chime. I walked to the door, my spine straight, my head held high. I opened it to reveal two uniformed officers, their faces impassive. "Ella Rose?" the first officer asked, his gaze sweeping past me to my parents, who stood frozen in the living room. "Yes, officer," I replied, my voice calm. "They're waiting for you." I stepped aside, allowing them to enter. The officers moved with a quiet efficiency, their presence immediately shifting the atmosphere in the room from domestic drama to serious crime scene. My mother let out another choked sob. My father, defeated, simply stared at me, his eyes filled with a hatred I had never seen before, and a dawning understanding of the depth of his own ruin. The officers read them their rights, their voices monotonous, official. My parents, for the first time in their lives, were speechless. They had no excuses left, no lies to tell, no one to manipulate. As the officers led them away, handcuffs gleaming under the chandelier light, my mother looked back at me, her face streaked with tears and mascara. "Ella, how could you?" she wailed, her voice cracking. I met her gaze, my own eyes dry. "How could you?" I countered, the question hanging in the air, unanswered. The front door closed, sealing them out of my life, perhaps forever. The house, suddenly silent, felt vast and empty. The scent of perfume and cigar smoke lingered, but it would fade. The echoes of their lies would too. I walked back into the living room, picking up the bank statement from the floor, smoothing out the creases. Zero balance. A symbolic cleansing. The $2.6 million they thought they stole was just a fraction of my actual worth, both financial and emotional. They had tried to break me, to take everything, but they had only succeeded in freeing me. I looked around the empty room, a profound sense of peace settling over me. The cage was finally closed, and I was finally truly free. They had fallen into my trap, and in doing so, they had finally given me the one thing I had always desperately craved, my own life.